Now, you remember the story, the fairy tale of the prince who got cursed and turned into a frog. And the only way that this frog could be rescued from his frog body was to get kissed by the princess. And the princess, for her to find her forever happiness, was to kiss the frog and turn him into a prince. Problem is, you can't tell by looking at the frog which one's the prince. So what do? You got to kiss frogs. Now, I want you just to think of that metaphor as the secret to your success in real estate today. And that is, I'm looking for motivated sellers. So what is the prince in your real estate business today? The prince is a motivated seller, period. That's the prince. Who are the frogs? Homeowners. That's who the frogs are. The frogs are the homeowners. Now, here's the secret. Talk to them. How are you going to find out which homeowners are interested in selling? You got to talk to them. You got to have a conversation with them. Now, guys, this is one of those things people are like, I don't know, but I'm scared. I get that. We're going to get to that part in a minute. Talk about the scared part. But here's the thing. There is no shortcut for this. At some point, regardless of how you generate the lead, how you find the lead, at some point, you got to talk to them. At some point, you got to kiss the frog and turn them into a prince. Find out, are they a motivated seller or not? That is simply a part of the game. Now, here's what I want you to understand. In a world of distrust, kissing frogs is still the fastest and best way to get business today. Now, what is kissing frogs? Just go out and talk to people, talk to people, talk to people. Ask them for business, ask them for business. We'll give you some scripts. We'll give you some strategies here in a minute, but I just want you to understand this concept of doing this. And I want you to think of it this way. Guys, understand something. 2 years ago, I met a mentor that lives in the UK. It lives in Great Britain. And he was talking about the top Mercedes-Benz salesperson in the UK. Number one guy. So this is your number one salesperson in Mercedes-Benz. He sells 5 times more cars every year than number two. Now, we're going to think about that for a second. He sells 5 times more than number two. You take the number 2 salesperson for Mercedes-Benz in the UK, and the number 1 guy sells 5 times more. So every time the number 2 guy, in other words, the guy's better than everybody else except for number 1, when he sells 1 car, the number 2 guy sells 1 car, the number 1 guy sells 5 cars. Okay. So if this guy, number 2, sells 2 cars a day, this top guy, he sells 10. So we're talking about 500%. He outproduces number 2 by 500%. He outproduces the average Mercedes-Benz guy by over 1,000%. He outsells him 10-1. Now, would you like to know how he does it? Here's how he does it. It's real simple. In most car dealerships, they have a process where they have a rotation of the next car salesman, that when somebody like you or me walks into the dealership off the street, the up salesperson is the one that gets that potential buyer. So when somebody walks in the door, whoever the next salesperson is, they're the one that goes straight over to you, welcomes you to the dealership, and asks you what they can show you around, or what you're interested in. And so when you're not the up salesperson, so there may be 10 salespeople on the floor at any given time, or maybe it's 5 or 6 or whatever, depending on the dealership. So if you're not the up salesperson, what do? Well, the average up salesperson who's not getting the next buyer that walks in doesn't do anything. They go sit at their desk, they surf the internet, they play on their phone, they drink coffee and visit with each other. They just don't do anything. But not the number 1 guy. The number 1 salesperson in Mercedes-Benz in the UK, this is what he does. He leaves the dealership, walks outside, and he walks out to the street. Now, you know how most car dealerships are on a busy, boulevard or a big street, right? So he goes out and he stands on the curb outside of the dealership, and he flags people down. He stops them. Yep, he does it. And that strategy sells him 5 times more cars every year than number 2. Now you're going like, oh my gosh, you kidding me? Like, do you think he ever gets upsets people? Probably. Do you think people ever honk at him? All the time. Do you think he ever gets, hand gestures or foul words thrown at him all day, every day? What's his attitude toward that? He says, that's not what I'm looking for. So when that stuff happens, I just ignore it because it's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is the person who's ready to buy their next Mercedes. Now, here's the key to this. This is his secret. He doesn't stop everybody. Who does he stop? He stops people who are driving a Mercedes-Benz that is 2 to 5 years old, because he knows the models, because he is a Mercedes-Benz guy. He can tell how old the car is, and the ones that's driving a 3-year-old Mercedes, that's the one he stops down. And he stops them and says, hey, are you ready? Have you thought about getting into a brand new Mercedes? Does it work every time? Of course it doesn't work every time. But what's he looking for? He's looking for the prince. So what does he do? He goes out and kisses frogs, and he kisses more frogs than anyone else. See, what the average car sales guy does is he waits for a frog to walk into the dealership when it's his turn, and they wait their turn. Now, my friend, if you want to make a lot of money and have a lifestyle and be truly successful as a real estate agent, stop waiting your turn. Stop waiting for the next deal to come to you. You make it happen, and you go out and you kiss frogs until they come to you. Now, the beauty of this is when we get to build a deal machine is that the frogs will come to you, and over time, they will only come to you when they are the prince. Yeah, that's right. So we're going to get to that in a minute. But here's the thing. He's not looking for the obscene gestures and the cars honking at him and the cursing. What he's looking for is the customers who are ready to upgrade. Focus on what you want and ignore everything else. If you want to master this, guess what? You're going to have to kiss frogs. Now, are frogs slimy? Yep. What do? Wipe off the slime. That's the magic, my friends. Got to be willing to do that and understand not everything is going to go well. Guys, my first 3 years of real estate, until I had sold over 100 homes that year, my third year, I averaged kissing over 100 frogs a week. Live conversation with over 100 people every week. And of those, on average, 98 of them, 97 of them were just frogs. They got my lips slimy and didn't make me any money. It was just a part of the process, but that's not what I was looking for. And even today, even with all the distrust, it's still just a matter of kissing frogs. And again, notice that the guy from Mercedes-Benz, he didn't stop all the cars. He targeted who he was going to stop. So we'll talk about who do you kiss? Well, let's just go to this next point here. Here's the secret. You want to win the listing game? Here's the secret. Whoever finds the most motivated sellers wins, period. That's right. Here's the name of the game. Whoever finds the most motivated sellers wins the game. So 100% of your lead generation right now, today, from this point forward, 100% should be seller focused. Do not focus on buyers, my friend. Waste of time. Focus on sellers. Now, did I say don't work with buyers? I did not say that. So maybe pay attention here. I didn't say don't work with buyers. I said, don't focus on finding buyers. All your lead generation, your prospecting, your marketing, whatever you are doing to generate leads, all of it, 100% should be focused on seller leads. I'm looking for that is the guy stopping only Mercedes-Benz drivers who've been driving that Mercedes for 2 to 5 years, because he knows the statistics that most people who have Mercedes, one, they're going to buy another one. Number two, they're going to buy it after 2 to 5 years. So he targets the people, his demographic of who he goes after. Okay. So focus 100% on winning sellers. Now I want to make a distinction here. The key is not, notice I said, be seller focused, not listing focused. How do you win the listing game? Not by getting listings. You win the listing game by winning sellers. Focus on the sellers, not the listing. Now, what's the difference here? This is really a massively big deal. Why do I focus on sellers, not the listing? Because when you win the client, you get the listing. So one, if I focus on the seller and what they want, I'm going to get the listing. Okay, when I show up right and I do the other 4 secrets that I'm about to share with you. So one, I focus on the seller, not the listing. So everybody's like, what's the number one goal? I want to get a listing. No, the number one goal is to win the seller's heart.